And we're back here at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois, at the United Center, the house that Mike built. I am joined by Mayor Mondale Robinson from the town of Enfield, North Carolina, and he's the founder of the Black Male Voter Project. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, bro.
So what is the population of Enfield, North Carolina?
It's somewhere around 4,000 folks. It's a rural town.
A rural town, 4,000 folks. So talk about the politics, because we all so often here, for example, here in Chicago, we get caught up in urban politics.
Yeah.
We get caught up in big city politics. Enfield. What are the politics of Enfield?
Yeah, I think the politics of Enfield are the politics of black people all over this country. Enfield is the poorest city in North Carolina and the 8th poorest city in America, according to Forbes.
What's the average
$22,000 per household, not per individual, per household, per year. So that is almost impossible to believe that a family of four is living off of $22,000.
I would have to say they are existing, not living.
That's exactly what's happening. And they're suffering, of course, from the lack of adequate housing, healthy housing, no health food. There's no hospitals within an hour drive from us. So the town is is struggling. But it's not different than the work I see from Black Male Voter Project, where we are reaching out to black men all over this country. And the 9.6 million black men all over this country, majority of them are saying the same thing that's plaguing their lives are plaguing my people in Enfield. And that is the lack of adequate income, health care, and also a country that seems like it give a damn about them.
So what is the major resource? What is the major employer? Is it agriculture? What is the major source of income for the residents of Enfield?
There's no major source of income in Enfield. The residents of Enfield actually work in other counties because Enfield is a dead town. Enfield is one of those towns that's still suffering from what the national government did, which is basically when they created the highway system, they took away Highway 301 that ran through the middle of town. So all of the eyes that used to have to become there when they were going from north to south or south to north no longer do that because of Highway 95, which runs around Enfield about 5 miles west of Enfield. So now there is no income since the 50s, and it doesn't look like it's coming back unless someone come up with a wonderful ideal of how we think about universal basic income.
Okay. So as the mayor of Enfield, what brings you here to Chicago to the Democratic National Convention?
Yeah, I'm not here in my mayor capacity.
Okay.
I'm here as the founder of Black Male Voter Project.
Okay.
So we're the nation's first and only organization with the sole purpose of increasing black men's participation in electoral politics.
And I've been asking this question to a number of individuals that are representing voter rights or voter participation organizations. Why in 2024 are we still struggling and battling to get our community to understand the power of the franchise?
I think the reason there's struggle in our community, especially as it pertains to black men, is because to say that there's power in franchise seems like word soup for people who are suffering the most from politics.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is there are 9.6 million black men registered to vote in this country. Mm-hmm. Of that 9.6 million, 52%.
There are 320 million people in the country.
Yeah, but 52% of them have not voted in the last 4 federal elections.
Okay.
So what people need to understand is that 52% have something in common. They're insecure in housing, insecure in health care. They are overpopulated in prisons. They are overpoliced. Mm-hmm. They are more likely to be put in prison than anybody else. And black people, black men specifically, have the shortest life of anybody in America. So I think when you think about all of these political issues and how these systems are failing black men, it becomes a real easy process to see why black men don't have the luxury of voting. Consider this. If you make minimum wage and you're in a rural space in the South or any black polling location, it's going to take you 8 hours to vote. If you're making minimum wage, you don't have 8 hours to sacrifice. So how can I afford to vote? Voting is too expensive for poor black men in this country, and no one is having that conversation. Coupled with the psychology that goes along with the epigenetic trauma that's built in to being black man and also existing in the context of the 15th Amendment. That's 154 years of trauma pushed upon us for trying to exercise.
So what would you say to those who would say it's not that the system has failed black men, it's that black men have failed the system because they aren't exercising their franchise? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say, again, we know that people that vote regularly, they call them super voters.
Right.
we see every election cycle, the way people are super voters is the amount of resources that's spent on that demographic.
Okay.
No one is voting because they are just, I feel like I need to vote. No, you've been taught to vote about the amount of resources spent on you.
Is the Democratic Party committed enough resources to attracting and explaining to that demographic why they need to vote? Not even vote Democrat, but why they need to vote, the empowerment that comes through the franchise.
So there's a couple problems with the framing of that question.
Okay.
First, black men don't trust Democrats, just like they don't trust Republicans.
Okay.
It's about 27% of black men that trust Democrats. It's about 6% of black men.
Why don't black men trust Democrats?
Well, I mean, all of the things I just articulated.
Okay.
The system fails black men at every corner.
Okay.
But beyond that, we have 154 years of trauma
Right.
built in being black men and trying to vote.
Right.
So what we also have to consider that you're not targeting black men with not only messages but messengers that they trust.
Okay.
We believe that Barack Obama is enough to turn out every black man. Unfortunately, 47% of black men that were registered to vote in 2012 did not vote for Barack Obama. They don't see themselves in the message or the messenger. Mm-hmm. Part of that is because these brothers are living with their backs against the razor edge of the wall. Mm-hmm. They're not college educated. They're not members of the Divine Nine.
Right.
They don't go to church. 90% of black men that are millennials and Zers don't belong to a church. They don't go to a church. Mm-hmm. And we're still treating them as if they are the archetype black men from the 60s. So the tactics are wrong.
Okay.
It's transactional.
Right.
We wait till election years to try to talk to them,
Right.
and we don't have intimate relationship with these brothers to bring them into the fold. That's what Black Male Voter Project comes into play.
So final question, give me two of the strategies that the Black Male Voter Project is implementing to change that dynamic.
We listen. Bigger than any other strategy.
Okay.
We listen, and we don't just listen during election years. We listen when it's not an election. We also answer services. We give housing. We buy clothing. We help brothers coming home from prison.
Okay.
We have a street legacy program. So we see brothers at every aspect of life, ensuring that there are no barriers that would keep them away from the poll,
Gotcha.
and nobody else is showing up like that.
Mayor Mondale Robinson, town of Enfield, North Carolina, and the founder of the Black Male Voter Project. My brother, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate. Thank you for your work.
Indeed.
Greatly appreciate it.
Indeed.
Folks, you are here at the Democratic National Convention with Politics in Color, and you're on politicsincolor.com, which is exactly where you need to be. Stay tuned. There's still more.